Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. I hope you're finished with state testing, but if not, we wish you the best of luck this week. Today is Monday, so on Mondays, remember, we read an informational passage. And today we have a really interesting one for you called Uncontacted. And it is about people that literally live off the grid completely and don't even know how the rest of the world functions. All right, so take a second, pause the screen if you need to, and read the slide that you see right now. All right, since on the past two Mondays, we have focused on what an informational text is, today I have a short Khan Academy video for you called The Structures of Informational Text. And it is going to review the different types of text structures that informational texts are organized, the way that they're organized. So check out this video. All right, and hopefully you'll learn something.
Hello, readers. Let's talk about structure. When architects and engineers design a building, one of the considerations they have to make is structural support. How's this thing going to stay upright? How do we make sure it doesn't blow over in the wind or collapse in an earthquake? And so they say, okay, maybe we'll put reinforcing steel in the concrete or put X braces on the outside or big old pylons in the center. Now, writers do pretty much the same thing. When an author creates an informational text, they ask themselves the same question. How's this thing going to stay upright? How shall I structure this text? Because although it's not physical in the way that a building is physical, texts have structure. You can't touch them, but you can see them. Now, there are many ways to structure a piece of writing, but today I want to talk about 5. Chronology, compare and contrast, cause and effect, problem and solution, and description. Let's talk about each one in turn, using the medium of one of my favorite foods, pizza. I recognize that's a really weird looking pizza, but you can learn anything. I'm going to get better at it before this video is over. So, chronology. Chronology is events described in order. Chronos is Greek for time, so anything that has that distinctive CHRON root is going to be about time. Chronicle, chronometer, chronically. You can suss out if a text is using a chronological structure if it's a sequence in a particular order, or if it's telling a story from history. Recipes are also chronological, right? In order to bake the cake properly, you have to turn the oven on first. And to that end, you can generally identify this text structure by looking for time words like first or last or finally. So a chronological account could be the history of the origins of modern day pizza in 19th century Naples, or a step-by-step recipe for making pizza dough. Here's an example of the chronology of ordering pizza. This is how you order pizza. First, look up reviews or ask a neighbor to find the best pizza near you. Then, call the pizza place and place your order. Be sure to give your address. Next, it's time to wait. When the pizza finally arrives, make sure to tip the delivery person. Compare and contrast. You've probably heard of this one. When a text compares two or more ideas, that's a compare-contrast. The compare step discusses similarities, how things are similar, and then the contrast step discusses how those things are different. Look for clue words like same or different, both and neither, in contrast or on the other hand. Here's an example. When talking about pizza, a long-standing debate is often between deep dish and thin crust pizza. One benefit of deep dish pizza is how efficient it is. Because of its thickness, a 12-inch deep dish pie can serve 6 people. One drawback is that it can be quite messy to eat. Thin crust pizza is good because it's less messy than deep dish, but it's thin, so it takes a larger pizza or multiple pizzas to feed the same number of people as a deep dish pizza can. Cause and effect. This one does what it says on the tin, right? It describes how one idea or event causes another. Here's an example. To celebrate my great report card, my parents let me order pizza with all my favorite toppings. After we ate, we were too stuffed to do anything else. Now, what caused us to get pizza? My great report card. What was the effect of the pizza? We were stuffed. Maybe it was a stuffed pizza. If you stuff yourself with stuffed pizza, does that make you more stuffed than if you stuff yourself with unstuffed pizza? You may scoff, but this is the stuff that keeps me up at night. Problem and solution. In this kind of text structure, the author describes a problem and then explains how that problem was solved. So imagine you want pizza, but you can't have traditional pizza because you're a celiac. You can't have wheat. Necessity is the mother of invention. Enter the cauliflower crust pizza made from cooked cauliflower, cheese, and a variety of gluten-free flours. All right, so what was the problem? You can't eat wheat, and pizza dough is made of wheat. How do you solve that problem? By making pizza crust out of cauliflower, which I promise tastes better than it sounds. Finally, description. This is sort of like an encyclopedia entry that explains basic information about a topic, like an explainer piece about what pizza is. I'm going to read this as though I have never heard of pizza before. Pizza, a round flatbread traditionally served warm, originated in Naples, Italy in the 19th century. This flatbread is generally baked at very high temperatures, topped with flavorful tomato sauce and melted mozzarella cheese, and served in slices. If you find yourself looking at an informational text and you're struggling to figure out what the structure is, subtract the specifics. If you subtract the specifics, it'll help you think about the structure. And if it helps, you can substitute those specific details about the text with pizza. Is this silly? Yeah, of course. Does it work? I think it does. So is the text structured like a recipe or the history of pizza? If so, it's chronology. Is it comparing two kinds of pizza? Well, then it's a compare and contrast. Does it explain how a good report card led to a pizza dinner? It's cause and effect. Does it describe a pizza problem and how it was solved in a pizza way? Well, that's a problem solution structure. And finally, does it straightforwardly describe what a pizza is without a detailed chronology, comparison, or problem? Because if so, that's a description. Those are only 5 possible ways to structure a piece of writing. They're by no means the only ways, but identifying these will give you the tools to learn even more structures so that you can better understand how writers shape ideas. I hope that this helped, and I also hope that you want pizza now, because I certainly do. You can learn anything. David out.
All right, guys. I hope that was a nice refresher, or hey, maybe you even learned something. Like I told you before the video, today's informational passage is called Uncontacted, the hidden people of the Amazon rainforest. And when this article was written, okay, they believed that there were still approximately 100 small communities around the world that have been completely uncontacted, meaning they live in a community that has never interacted or communicated with anyone outside of their community. All right. It's a pretty interesting article. And I found this short video of a flyover of some uncontacted communities. And I thought you might enjoy seeing it. So check this out.
Jose Carlos Morelos is on his way to the remote headwaters of the Imbira River in Brazil. The dense Amazon forests below are home to one of the last uncontacted tribes left on Earth. Morelos works for Brazil's Indian Affairs Department and is to monitor the tribe's lands for signs of invaders.
Primeiro que são povos meio desconhecidos, né? É difícil convencer até o próprio Estado, né, que eles existem.
But the pressures on these forests are growing, and Morelos knows that he has to convince those who doubt the tribes live here at all. For the first time, he's allowed a BBC film crew to travel with him. Powerful zoom lenses will allow them to film from a kilometer away and minimize distance.
E não acreditando que eles existem, não vai ter nenhum movimento a favor deles. E uma imagem, às vezes, vale por 1000 relatórios, por 1000 palavras. Está aqui.
Their gardens are full of manioc, their main food. They're also growing bananas and papaya. And there are hundreds of anato trees. The tribe makes bright red body paint from the crushed seeds. Morales has been monitoring this tribe for 20 years, but he fears their lives are about to change for the worse. Illegal logging across the border in Peru is forcing uncontacted tribes there to flee.
Que de repente começou a aparecer uns isolados lá que não eram de lá. É óbvio, qual é o único lugar que os isolados podem correr? É para lá de cá, não tem para onde mais correr.
But instead of expelling the loggers, Peru's government has suggested that uncontacted tribes don't exist at all.
É a única maneira da gente poder mostrar ao resto da humanidade que esses povos existem. É melhor isso do que ele entrar em contato com um bando de garimpeiro ou com um madeireiro, que vão matá-los no primeiro vez que virem, não vão fotografar, vão atirar neles e matar.
And it's not just violence that puts uncontacted people at risk. Viruses, like the common cold, can kill them, and even wipe the tribes out completely.
A minha utopia seria que esses povos tivessem primeiro a opção de escolha, né? Nós vamos continuar, nós vamos entrar em contato. É a terra, você conseguir o espaço e manter esse espaço livre de interferência, de qualquer interferência, que é a única forma dos índios isolados sobreviverem. Não tem outra forma.
All right, guys, I hope you're excited to read today's article. And in case you forget, I just want to refresh your memory with the directions on what you're supposed to do today. Okay, number one, read the informational article. It is posted in this week's module. Number two, if you prefer to listen to someone else reading the article, there is also a read aloud posted in this week's module. We just ask that you follow along while you listen. Number three, complete the comprehension quiz. This is a grade. And hopefully, you figured out in the last couple of weeks that all of the answers can actually be found in the text. So make it your goal to get 10 out of 10 on your first attempt. You do have 2 attempts if needed. Number four, you may enter your time spent reading in the offline tracker. You may also enter the time you spent watching this video in the offline tracker. Just a reminder that when you complete a quiz in Canvas, that time does track for you. And finally, make sure you work in iReady today. Time spent working in iReady tracks for you automatically, so that does not go in the offline tracker. All right. So if at any point on any day you feel like you might be short on attendance time, working in iReady is a great way to get that time. All right, guys and gals, have a wonderful day. We miss you all, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.